Hello, happy Mother's Day. If you don't know me, my name is Marra Eshleman. I'm a senior at Cypress Woods High School. Well, here's my journey. Freshman year was the year that my church disaffiliated. This was the church that I grew up in. I was baptized there, went through confirmation there, and it was the only church that I've ever called mine, until now, of course. But by the fall of freshman year, I was ready to move on because I knew that I couldn't stay with a church that didn't believe in something extremely important to me. Sorry, I'm probably going to cry during this. It was a hard change to leave behind the friends that I've had all my life. But even at the age of 14, even before I knew anything about what's happening in that church, I could tell that that church wasn't for me anymore. I didn't feel like I grew in my faith at all whenever I went to church services or even youth group. I could tell I wasn't the favorite of the group because I was extremely shy and timid and just didn't want to talk to people. I could easily identify this fact because when my brother and I were in youth together, he would get all the attention, all the praise, and even the only excited hello whenever we walked in that room together. These growing, intensifying emotions that I kept bottled up made me dread going to church or even youth group as time progressed. I'm sorry. I can't even see what I wrote anymore. I remember one day during a church service, I was all by myself because my two best friends weren't there that day. For context, we all sat together as a youth group during church. That day, out of sympathy, I was invited to sit with the other girls that I wasn't really close with because obviously my cooler, more popular brother wouldn't want to sit next to his little annoying sister. But while I was sitting there with other girls my age all around me, I was still talking to no one, sitting on the edge of the row, not even being able to sit on the whole chair, all while I was being ignored because I wasn't in that clique. I remember feeling very alone that day in church, and after that service, I asked my parents if I could go home and skip youth for that day, and they let me. I remember coming out of that service crying because I never felt so lonely in a room where everyone is supposed to feel so loved. I've never said or written this anywhere before, not even to my parents, but while I went to that church, I kept questioning if God was real. Yes, I was questioning my faith during church, during youth, and even during confirmation where I was supposed to be affirming my faith. Yet I didn't share this with anyone because I knew I was going to be told I was wrong, and that my parents would be super concerned that I didn't believe. And I just didn't want to go through all of that, so I just bottled it all up inside me. I was questioning it because I hated that church's environment, and I was wondering, why me? Why would he make me go through this? If he was real, I would be welcomed and loved, and everyone would be just as excited to see me there as they were my brother. My perspective changed freshman year when my parents told me everything about what would happen if we disaffiliated. I was sad at first, of course, but that was the only church that I've ever known. But when my parents asked me if I still wanted to attend youth group, even if they weren't going to go there anymore, I said no. I was so excited about this change in church. It was so different and exciting to have something different. Of course, I was scared also. I knew I wouldn't really know anyone because 4 different churches came together over similar experiences to my own. Those early meetings of Cy-Fair United Methodist is when my faith reignited and finally saw God for the first time in a long, long time. I've never seen so much hope in a single room before. Everyone wanted to help and make this church a home. I eventually made great friends here, and I am glad to say we're the first class of graduates that had all 4 years of high school here at Mosaic. But I did really start to love this place and all its people. But there is one person here that especially impacted my life, Miss Christie. I've known her for as long as I can remember. She was my children's director at my old church and now my youth director here at Mosaic. I was asked in a college essay prompt, who has impacted your life the most and why? Obviously, I couldn't write about either of my parents because that's what everybody else would be doing. So I decided to write about Miss Christie. So I would like to share with the congregation what I wrote about her. Oh, and by the way, like the word count was kind of smaller on this one, so I would be able to write more if I could. The person who has most impacted my life, outside of my parents, is my church's youth director, Miss Christie. She first came into my life as my children's director when I was in elementary school, and has been a huge part of my journey since then, as she transitioned to youth pastor later. Miss Christie laid the foundation of my faith through organizing mission trips for youth, mentoring me in small groups, cheering for me at performances, and showing me the important values of leadership she lives out in her own life. For example, in the fall of my freshman year, my church voted to leave the United Methodist denomination to join a newly created branch of Methodism. My family decided to leave that church because we didn't believe in what that branch stood for. Miss Christie also had the same beliefs as us, so she decided to leave that church too, a church she called home since her own childhood. She left her community, job, salary, and benefits for uncertainty. This was a great example to me of what it looks like for someone to truly live their life in alignment with their values. She and my family helped build the foundation of our current church, which is thriving with over 300 members just 3 years later. She showed me leadership that will stick with me for the rest of my life because she taught me how to stand up for what I believe in. And I'm so glad she's in my life. Thank you.